So the key to big buck success, probably the number one most important thing you can do is eyes on. Either getting eyes on with trail cameras or getting eyes on actually in person. Knowing that a specific deer or the quality of buck that you're after is actually in that specific area will significantly increase your odds of success throughout the year and years to come. So today I'm going to touch on one of those topics, which is trail cameras, and how to go about actually using the tools available to us to increase our success, not only for this year, but also take all the data that we collected last deer season and even deer seasons in the past. Collect all that data, put it all together, and how can we use that data going into next year? We're currently scheduling consulting clients. Now through May is the best time and really the only time to truly do a detailed consult on your property. So if you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to reach out to me, send me a message. Also visit my website. It has all the details about the consulting services as well as information on me personally and what Tactical Approach Outdoors is all about. So if you're really serious about consistently harvesting big mature bucks, especially on public ground, you've got to get your system put together to really figure out eyes on ways to get your eyes and data collected on either specific bucks or just the quality of buck that you're after, whatever it might be. All of our goals are different. All of our stages in our hunting journey and life are completely different. So we have to take that into consideration and not get lost into social media and adjust your specific goals according to what you think they should be adjusted to based on what you see on social media. You can't let that influence your hunting style or your mentality going into your hunt. You're an individual hunter. It's your stinking tag, and as long as it's legal, you should be happy to harvest whatever the heck you want to harvest. So on that note, we're going to talk about trail cameras today. How can we use trail camera data that we gathered this past deer season, but also seasons in the past throughout the years? The more years you gather in a specific area, the more likely you're going to see success and find patterns. We're going to talk about two different ways to go about using that trail camera data. Are we patterning a specific buck? Or are we trying to put a pattern together for a specific location, a specific tree stand location? Once you realize that a big mature buck typically does not do anything at random, the only time it's going to feel random is during the rut, and then at the same time it's not random because he's searching for does. So that's even not a random reason for his movement. Everything he does is going to be very calculated and on purpose. So the moment you figure out the why that he is there, the why that he moved there, was it a cold front that moved in? What wind direction? What route did he take? What direction did he come from? Anything and everything that you can gather on that specific moment that that deer walked by that camera, you will eventually, the more pictures you gather, eventually you're going to find some kind of pattern. So this South Dakota location that we hunted for multiple years, I ended up shooting 2 really big bucks out of it. We had opportunities at other big mature bucks in that same tree stand or in that same general location on the years that we didn't harvest. This just produced every single year. So before the week of about November 13th. November 13th was about that dead set perfect date that every single year a shooter buck walked by this tree stand. Before it, we really didn't see much movement. It was very slow. After it, it was very sporadic and random. The bucks still moved by, but it was kind of sporadic and random. And the reasoning for this was because this specific location was so far away from primary ag that they pretty much lived on private land to the north, right? So the only reason for these deer to move down that far south to where we were was for does, was for rut movement. So if we didn't have that specific rut movement in place, then it was very difficult, sporadic, mature buck movement. The 2 bucks I ended up shooting out of it were after a blizzard and after a snow. My 10 point was after a major blizzard the day before. We were driving up there in the blizzard. We got there, got settled into our hotel, and went out to hunt the next day. I shot him midday. And then the 8 point that I ended up shooting out there, I shot him at first light. He came through at first light after the snow. That night before, temperatures dropped significantly, and he came by at first light and gave me maybe a 5-yard shot straight down out of my tree. Now let's get into actually patterning a specific buck. Obviously, everybody wants to do that. Everybody talks about hunting specific deer. Folks name their bucks. I mean, this really can get insane. Getting upset at other guys for hunting their buck, it can get wild. So let's talk about actually getting into figuring out specific patterns and collecting data on a specific animal. 2022 was my very first year hunting Kansas, and I was super pumped to get out to this area. Kind of already been e-scouting it for a couple years. Really liked the area. I just had to put boots on the ground and get out there and get after it. The one mistake I made was that I was unable to get out there during postseason scouting. I was not able to actually scout that during postseason, which, if you followed me for a while, I am a firm believer in postseason scouting. It is not a foolproof plan, but you can map out and foreshadow next year's primary movement patterns through postseason scouting, and in turn, streamline your in-season scouting. And that's all we're trying to do, is we're trying to streamline our in-season scouting without blowing out the area that we're trying to hunt. So I got in there finally late August, early September, and to my surprise, I was already finding scrapes. This one single ridge top was already producing scrapes, which really had me excited. So went ahead, set cameras up. This was the last year we could use cameras on public land in Kansas, and started collecting data and immediately started getting pictures of this specific 10 point. So during that year, I really took the opportunity to scout more and hunt a little bit less. I would rather scout more to check the cameras and gather data than spend my time hunting, especially if it was a bad weather day. If it was a bad weather day, high wind, warm temps, I used that opportunity, go check those cameras, pull the cards. All of my cameras that I was using were actual SD card pull cameras. They're traditional cameras, not cellular cameras, didn't have cellular service in the hills there. So all the cameras were card pull cameras, which means that I had to go out there and balance my disturbance to keep from spooking everything out, to gather enough intel to allow me to put together a pattern on this deer. So basically every other week, which was pretty regular, honestly, but I had a really good access into the area, which made me not so concerned about checking these cameras. And my main cameras that were on these scrapes and in close to bedding, I would actually spread out my checking of these cameras even more. I wouldn't check the camera unless I went in there to hunt. And I used that throughout the season, and through September and through October, I really gathered a lot of pictures of this deer, and came to find out that he was only using this specific part of the ridge, which was on public, and he was only using it during some kind of southern wind. Not necessarily anything patterned on moon phase. He was just a regular in the area, which meant that he was bedding nearby, and he used those scrapes on a regular basis. I went in for the morning. My plan was to hunt this scrape on the south wind and then move over the next ridge, which had another buck I was hunting, not quite as big, but another buck, during the north wind, because he was using that ridge on a north wind. More scrapes. So that was my plan for the day. Hunt the 10 point, south wind first half of the day, bounce across, hunt the 9 point on north wind. So keep an open mind when you're finding these locations. And even while you're gathering your trail camera data, don't get so fixated on pictures that you become tunnel visioned. That can be very dangerous. So if you get a picture of him in this specific location, that doesn't mean that that's the location that you need to be hunting him out of at this specific time of the season. Sometimes you're going to find deer that stick around all season, like this 10-point did. From September through November, he was in the same area, working the same scrapes, which that doesn't happen very often. So keep an open mind. Don't get tunnel vision into your pictures and end up losing the woodsmanship side of the hunt. Trail cameras are just a tool to increase our odds of success and to confirm that not only a specific deer is in the area and in regular, or a specific caliber of deer is in the area and on regular pattern. So thanks for watching, y'all. I hope that really kind of fired up a little bit of thinking process. I can look at trail camera pictures, make a ton of notes all day. I can do it all day and never get sick of it. I'm sure all of y'all are the same way, but those notes taken are golden, and they can lead into success not only this coming year, but years to come. So thanks for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Also, just saying, I think y'all need a hat. It looks pretty cool. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll see you on the next video.